Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines.
Chief of Army Staff Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir has warned that any future military adventurism by India against Pakistan would face extremely dangerous, far-reaching and painful consequences. The remarks were made during a ceremony at GHQ Rawalpindi, marking 1 year since the Marka-e-Haq and Operation Bunyan Mahsus, attended by senior military leadership. Munir described the event as a clash of ideologies, saying Pakistan had emerged successful and crediting national unity and military preparedness. He also said future wars would be multi-domain, involving cyber, drones, AI, and long-range precision systems. He stressed that Pakistan's armed forces would not be intimidated. President Asif Ali Zardari and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, in separate messages marking 1 year of Marka-e-Haq, reaffirmed Pakistan's commitment to national defense, regional stability, and peace. President Zardari praised the military leadership and armed forces, calling their response to aggression balanced and effective. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif described the occasion as a day of gratitude, saying Pakistan's armed forces stood like a steel wall in defense of the country. Iran has reportedly sent its response via Pakistan to a U.S. proposal aimed at ending the more than 2-month war. Reports suggest that Iran wants the current phase of negotiations to focus only on stopping hostilities in the region. The latest diplomatic push centers on a temporary understanding to halt fighting and ease tensions in the Strait of Hormuz, while broader disputes, including Iran's nuclear program, remain unresolved. Also, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says negotiations do not mean surrender, reaffirming Tehran's stance on defending Iran's national interests and the rights of its people. Speaking at a meeting on post-war reconstruction, Pezeshkian said the goal of diplomacy was to secure the rights of the Iranian people with authority. President Donald Trump says the United States is closely monitoring the site of Iran's nuclear materials and warned that any attempt to access it could trigger military action. During an interview aired on Sunday, Trump said the location was very well surveilled and claimed U.S. forces would eventually secure the materials. He also claimed that Iran had been heavily weakened during the conflict, but insisted that Washington could still strike more targets if needed. U.S. intelligence agencies believe Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has been involved in shaping Tehran's wartime strategy and negotiations with Washington. The report, citing sources familiar with assessments, says Khamenei has remained largely out of public view after sustaining injuries during the conflict, but is still believed to be communicating through trusted intermediaries. Iranian officials, however, say he is recovering well and dismiss speculation about his health. U.S. assessments also suggest Iran's military has been weakened by strikes, but retains operational missile capability, while senior Revolutionary Guard figures are managing day-to-day governance amid ongoing diplomacy with the U.S. Meanwhile, Iran's armed forces chief has reportedly briefed Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei on military readiness and received what state-linked media described as new guiding measures for ongoing operations. According to Iran's semi-official Fars agency, Khatam al-Anbiya Commander Ali Abdullahi told Khamenei that Iranian forces were fully prepared to confront any action by what he called American Zionist enemies. He warned that any mistake by Iran's adversaries would trigger a swift and decisive response.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says he remains committed to leading his government despite mounting pressure after major local election losses. Starmer described his administration as a 10-year project and vowed to continue, even as calls for his resignation grow within the Labour Party. The pressure intensified after a former minister threatened to push for a leadership contest unless action is taken by party leadership.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he believes the war in Ukraine is coming to an end, speaking to reporters in Moscow after scaled-back Victory Day celebrations. He said he would only meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy once a final peace agreement is reached, adding that any signing could take place in a third country as a final step. Putin also accused Western countries of fueling the conflict and reiterated that Russia considers its military campaign a just response to NATO expansion and security threats. At least 39 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes across Lebanon, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry, as cross-border violence with Hezbollah continues, despite a reported ceasefire arrangement. One of the deadliest strikes hit the southern town of Saksakieh, killing at least 7 people, including a child. Another strike in Nabateh killed a Syrian man and his 12-year-old daughter, with reports of additional casualties in follow-up attacks. The Israel Defense Forces said it targeted Hezbollah operatives and infrastructure. Lebanon says more than 120 people have been killed in the past week alone, as clashes intensify along the border. And passengers and crew from a cruise ship hit by a deadly Hantavirus outbreak have begun returning to their home countries for quarantine and medical monitoring. Spain and France evacuated citizens to Madrid and Paris, while flights were also arranged for Canada, the Netherlands, Turkey, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and the United States. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu confirmed that one of the repatriated French passenger has shown symptoms during flight. The World Health Organization has recommended a 42-day quarantine for all passengers. Cases linked to the outbreak have also involved Argentina, Chile, South Africa, and Switzerland, while a suspected British case is being treated on the remote island of Tristan da Cunha.
That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.